Hi everyone, this is Sagar Shah back home in Mumbai after the candidates, and a new tournament has begun in the world of chess. It's called the Tepe Sigeman Cup, and it's an 8-player round robin with Arjun Erigaisi playing in there, the only Indian, but he's not the top seed of the tournament. The top seed is Nodirbek Abdusattorov. In the first round, Arjun was pitted against Wenjun. Let's have a look at this game. Also, if you see, there's a small logo here, which is the ChessRanga logo, which means that you can actually access this game through ChessRanga, which is our interactive platform for learning. I'm going to ask questions throughout the game, and in ChessRanga, it will stop when I ask a question, and you can actually interact with the moves. So the link is in the description and also in the pinned comment, so try to check it out there. Okay, now let's go to the game. Arjun with white opens the game with knight f3. I'm going to tell you more about the tournament at the end of this video, but first let's have a look at the game. d5 by Wenjun. She is the current women's world champion. Arjun goes g3, knight f6, bishop g2, g6, d4, bishop g7, and c4. So we have this kind of Grunfeld like setup, and one of the most solid ways to play here is c6. You just say to your opponent, I'm going to play very solidly, but Wenjun took the pawn, and Arjun now castled, black castled. So here Arjun went for this move, knight a3. He wants to pick up the pawn, and for black, there are multiple ways to play. The most common move here is to give up the pawn with c3 here. This is the most common move. You give it up and then you strike the center with c5, and this is a very well-known way to play. But Wenjun, what she did here was that she played c5 directly. Arjun said, okay, I'm going to take the pawn. And here Wenjun put her bishop on e6, attacking the knight. And here's your first question already. It's an interesting moment. I would like you to think, what would you play here with the white pieces? This moment is not like a very forced move as such, but I think the move that was played is quite instructive and maybe something for us to learn from Arjun's play here. So let's just have a look at what was played. The best move, and I think what Arjun played, is knight fe5. Kudos to you if you found it. It opens up the bishop to this square. Your knight is hanging. Actually, I was wondering if knight ce5 was any good, but actually after takes, the only problem is that black has this very strong move, bishop d5, and after this black equalizes quite easily. And the other move which I was actually very interested to play was knight e3, because then you control the d5 square, and this could be possible. But after knight c6, once again, black is doing pretty fine here. Generally, black is not afraid of giving up a pawn like this, because you are able to get it back with knight e4, opening up the bishop here, hitting here, and so on. So the right move is knight fe5 that was played in the game. Queen c8 was played by Wenjun because she wanted to defend this b7 pawn. And now Arjun plays a very interesting move here. By the way, d takes c5 is the main move here, and then the game continues with knight d7, takes, c6, takes, bishop d5. You give up a pawn, and this is a very common way to play a pawn down position, but black has activity, and I think there are some games here. Interesting position. The computer assesses it as equal. But here, instead of taking this pawn, Arjun plays the move bishop d2. Now, what is very interesting to note here is that this move has been played only in one game before. And that too, who's played it with white? Wenjun has played it with the white pieces. So, it's very interesting that Arjun actually went deep into the prep of his opponent's games, but also from the other color. So Wenjun, I think, was well prepared. This was against Ning. I think Ning and this was in 2021. So 4 years, 3 years ago, in the World Summit in 2021. Okay, so here the move that was played was bishop d5, also played in the Wenjun game previously. So that's the best move. By the way, I have one question for you. If c takes d4, now for your second question here in this game, what would you play here with white to move? So in this position, you have lost a pawn, but what is a very cool move to make, if you found it, well done, is rook c1. And the queen is slightly uncomfortable because this is hanging, so it can't move away. And then I'm threatening all sorts of things like knight b6. So you go knight c6, I take, and then play knight e5, attacking this pawn again. Bishop d5 takes, queen b7, takes, rook c5, and white is slightly better here. So this was maybe another way to go, but white is doing well. Bishop d5 was the best move. Arjun now brings his rook to the center. Bishop g2, king g2. And Wenjun very confidently took the pawn on d4, which is a very bold statement to make to Arjun, saying that, hey, do your best, give me a discovered attack. Arjun said, well, if you want it, here's what I'm going to do. Knight b6, queen came up, and he took the rook. But now the queen took on e5, and what Wenjun is essentially telling Arjun is, look, your knight is locked up a bit on the corner. I have an extra pawn. My knight is coming out. This e2 pawn is slightly weak. Your king is slightly weak here on g2. So all in all, I have good compensation, which is true. The engine says this is equal. This is where Arjun thought for a while and came up with a new idea. And I'm a bit surprised with the move he makes. Knight c7 was what Wenjun had played against Ning, and she had won that game. And I think it's a good move. But I think Wenjun had some prep here. In the game, queen a5 was played. Perhaps she would have gone queen f5 or queen h5. Maybe this was her idea. She might have had some deep prep. But Arjun, when he played queen b3, now Wenjun just took the pawn. Nice move. She says to Arjun that if you take here, I'm going to take your bishop. So now there's only move for Arjun to play here. Maybe you want to pause the video and think for your third question, what should white play? So it's important to notice that black has kind of now two pawns, also very active. Knight could come out. Let's say for example, a move like rook fd1. I can just play knight c6 or even knight bd7, and you are in some big trouble. Because let's say if you chop the pawn here, the problem is the knight jumps in and the king is terribly exposed. And this is what we were talking about, this king will come into trouble. The knight is jumping here, this knight is coming in, and this will be problem. So that's the reason why here you have to play a little bit faster. And the only move that is there is bishop g5. And if you found this move, well done. If you played bishop b4, then knight c6 and black is doing really well. If you play bishop f4, then knight bd7, and once again black is in a very good position. The move here is bishop g5. And now there are a few options here for black. I was wondering if this check made any sense. f3, queen f5, take, bishop, knight c7, and maybe the game is around equal. But Wenjun's move was not at all bad. She went b6, which is a slightly suspect move, but her point is after b6, she wants to give a check and win this knight. So anyway, Arjun has to get the knight out. So perhaps b6 was maybe not the most accurate, but she wanted to keep the pawn here. Maybe another way was knight c6, knight c7, and knight e4 when the position is very complicated. b6, now Arjun brings the knight out. Wenjun plays knight d7. And now rook fe1 was played, attacking the pawn here. And Wenjun just went and attacked this bishop. And here maybe the best move was queen b5. when the position still remains slightly better for white, but Arjun took here. And here's your next question: with what will you recapture on f6? This is the moment where you can do better than the women's world champion. She went wrong and she fell into big trouble. Yes, so here bishop takes on f6 is the correct move, and kudos if you found this. And after this, I think black is okay. There's not too many trouble. I think what Wenjun may not have liked is knight d5. But then there is knight c5 attacking the queen. You take, pawn takes, and knight e6, and black is fine. The issue is that after e takes f, by the way, knight f6 is not good because of rook takes e7. White is better. And e takes f6, which was played in the game, would have worked pretty fine if black can get like knight c5, knight e6, move in, or just stabilize the position. But instead, white played h3. Very good. Now Arjun realizes how to continue. He goes here queen g5. There was also queen f5 possible, but then knight d5 tempo attacking the queen, so queen g5. And now very good move, queen b5 was played, offering a trade of queens and also attacking this knight here, so there's no time to avoid it. There was also this very cute little move, which was knight e6. 4 king takes, check, and now the knight is hanging, so you have to play rook f7. And now white plays this very classy move, which I want you to think white to play, the only move to win the game. So if you give this check here, this does not work out because after bishop f8, white is better. Black is better. So the move here is rook c7, and it's a very strong move. A move like knight e5 does not work because of rook e5, and then f7 hangs. And if queen f5, there is rook d7 takes, check, and then you win the queen. So all in all, this was a winning move, but Arjun found queen b5, rook d8, check. He's just trading down. There's this very nice concept, which is like when ahead in material, trade. So what Arjun says is that I'm exchange up, although you have 2 pawns, but your pawns have been destroyed. So I'm going to trade. So first rook e8 takes, chops the queen, takes the knight, takes the rook, threatens to come in. So knight came to c5, now takes the bishop as well. And after b4, knight e6 was played. If knight d3, there is rook c4, and I win this pawn. So he went knight c6, knight e6, rook c8, king f3, rook 8, and rook takes a7. And here Wenjun resigned because f7 is falling. This pawn is not going anywhere. The king is very close. And with this, Arjun scored a very important win in this first round of the tournament. And with that, Arjun has moved into the early lead, which is after the first round here. And he is on 1 out of 1. Vincent is on 1 out of 1. The big upset of the round was Anton Korobov defeating Nodirbek Abdusattorov and Swidler and Nils Drew. So very interesting event. This is eight players, 7 rounds, and classical chess in Sweden. And here are a few pictures from today. This is Arjun with Wenjun. Then Arjun getting ready for the game. You're thinking behind you can see Nodirbek and Korobov. Arjun in his typical pose, playing with his left hand. The way Arjun holds his knight is also interesting, like very weird. And that's him moving around, very confident during the game, and a handshake before the game. And what is very interesting to see is these ratings. And Arjun is now world number 5 with this win. Gukesh is world number 6, very close, both of them. Ding Liren is now pushed back to world number 7. Nodirbek lost crucial 6 points here with this loss to Korobov, so he's gone to world number 8. It's going to be interesting to see how well Arjun does here. Also, second round, I believe Nodirbek and Arjun face off against each other. That will be a exciting clash. Um, Arjun did not make it to the candidates, but he is super pumped up, and we can see it through his chess. We did an interview with him, which I'm going to link here so that you can follow his exploits through the last few months. And we wish him good luck in this tournament. For now, this is Sagar Shah signing off. Bye bye.